Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money and the Law on My FM 101.3 and Holliston Hub HCAT. This is Money and the Law. We talk about all things money and all things law with your esteemed host, Jay Marsden. He is from the Marsden Law Group, and his assistant, part-time assistant, John Drohan. That's me from Main Effort Financial. A part-time associate and an associate performer. Although Money in the Law music again is kicked off for another week. When are you going to get that guitar restrung?
This was my thought. My thought was, all right, thinking ahead, turning this into obviously the space.
Yeah.
That's what we wait for.
This. What do you mean? What are we waiting for?
This is going to be the lounge area.
But how are they going to bring in like more stuff?
Chairs. And
they're going to get rid of this Formica.
This is all coming out of here, and this is going to be like the lounge.
This is where we're going to. All right.
This is where
like the acoustic lounge.
This is where the magic happens right here.
All right.
I'm just trying to I'm trying to give your level of talent the attention and the credibility that it
does not deserve.
So I think that's what I don't want to undersell. We've talked about the Daryl's house thing before, and like this is kind of like instead of Daryl's house, this might be like Ray's room.
By
the way, hashtag Ray's room. Ray, if you're listening,
write it down.
Hashtag Ray's
write
room,
it down.
baby.
Write it down. Write that hashtag.
I'm in Ray's room today. I love it.
But can we do some rehearsals?
Sure.
Can you bring your guitar?
I'll come to your house.
You'll come to my house?
We'll do rehearsals at the house.
Let's do it at your office.
I'll do that.
Even better.
I'll do that.
Neutral
space.
Your
office.
Your office is trouble though. Your office, because I know there's things in your office.
No,
yeah.
my office is fine right now.
Actually, you know what? I have a good space. Come to my office. I have a space no one's using. Yep, it's going to be. That'll be it. All right. So we need to do that. Is your guitar? Is your 12-string restrung up?
Now that we have a plan, I'm working on it.
Now that there's a plan, it's going to happen. Tommy Harmon.
Tommy Harmon, another bag.
Harmon's here. He's got his home headphones on because the HCAT ones are busted. So
he's a little mad today. Have you noticed? He's got a little bit of edge to him. You know what?
Yeah.
It's all about that PGA Live thing.
Oh,
he's not happy
right?
about it. He's not happy.
I mean, I want to do a whole show on it, right? Like Tom's like, why didn't I get it offered? Why didn't I get it?
Today on Money and Law, sports washing. Let's talk about it.
Right? Crazy, like crazy. And but the craziest thing about it is just the ungodly amount of money that is getting thrown around with this whole entire deal.
Crazy.
Yeah, but who'd have thought, right? Who'd have thought golf? Who'd have thought golf was like that? I mean, you always knew growing up, like we all knew the big guys, right? Like
Sure.
Arnold Palmer, Jack, you know, all those, and you know those guys made good money, right?
Yep.
They all did fine, right? But the sport itself seems to have just evolved to like such, and you always knew that there was kind of this niche of the people that played. Where are you going? There's people that played golf, right? There was like that. The golfers, right? And that was like a subset of society, and it wasn't a big one, right? There was like, it was kind of that sleeve of people that play golf. But now it just seems like it's massive. And the fact that the whole that whole opportunity that happened with those guys were, and again, call the Middle East, or these guys are like, here, we're going to show you how to print money because we're pumped this thing called oil, right? And everybody needs it, and we're the ones who have the most of it, right? So guess what? We have a lot of money. And this is what they do. They're like, hey, we want to have golf over here, or we want to have pick a sport, right? We want to have
a Premier League team.
Yeah, we want to have a soccer team. Yeah,
why not?
Sure. And they're like, I'm going to get out my checkbook, and it's all wrinkly, right? Because it's been in his pocket all day, and he's like,
no, it hasn't been in his pocket all day. Because you know why? Because they write so many of them.
Yeah.
Every check is like it just came off brand spanking new out of the check printing machine.
That's right.
When you get your first fresh book of checks before it goes in your glove compartment, and you're like, this thing is crisp. It clears easy. I'm not even worried about it. Right. These guys are like, sure, Premier League team. How much? $2 billion? Hold on, 1 second.
$2 billion.
How many zeros is that?
Yeah.
1, 2. You fill it in.
Check this. Right? Can I borrow your glasses?
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
It's exactly it.
Yeah.
So the fact that the amount of of money that is getting thrown around for this thing, and then the fact that now I love the story, right? I love how.
Well, let's talk about how the PGA puts a flag in the sand and says, "No way, our moral compass is strong.
Yeah.
Our moral compass
we're not
is
messing
strong.
around. Yeah.
No, we don't mess around with that. We're not getting involved in that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that." And then, oh wait a minute, how many zeros are on that check?
Exactly.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Can we have 2 minutes? Power real quick. Yeah. Okay. This is fine. We'll get to you. And some of these guys from their heart said, this is the right thing to do. I'm staying with the PGA. I like where their head's at. I like the fact that they're committed to human rights. and I'm in. I'm all in.
Make no mistake about it, though. The PGA also compensated them for saying that too. That's all. And I heard this yesterday. You know, it's like those guys are like, yeah, no, I'm staying with it. The PGA said, yeah, you know what? Thanks for sticking around. Here you go. You know, like they not now. Granted, it wasn't the live money.
No.
It wasn't, because if they said, oh, you know, see you later, I'm going to live. Live would have been like, yeah, I'm going to put 2 zeros on the end of what those guys are going to get on their check. Yeah, but still, like, it's. Again, and it's more money than any of them are going to ever spend in 10 lifetimes, right? It's like that kind of crazy money.
No, but it's just sad.
It's
just sad. Doesn't anybody have any moral backbone anymore? Isn't there anybody out there who kind of like says, you know what, we actually stand for something, and you know what, we don't care about it. That's fine. They can go do their thing. Those guys can make all the money they want to make. We don't care. We're the PGA.
Yeah,
go,
and I
go.
think and what is it? Is they're just afraid that their brand's going to get stale and their brand's going to be like that they're going to have a competition, like, you know, that there's going to be like, oh, someone's going to actually watch this on TV versus watching us on TV.
Well, they're worried that some up and coming golfer who would normally be funneled or channeled right into the PGA now has a choice.
Yeah,
now has a choice to say, you know what, I don't want to go your route. I want to go the live route. Okay, go the live route. That's fine. We're still the PGA.
Yeah, because you think about it, right? Because you know, just like everything, just like time, like makes everybody forget, right? So in in the beginning, the live's like, oh, those guys, all those traders, right? Those, you know, you guys are like, you know, you're jumping ship. You're crossing the picket line, right? But then over time, like you said, a new up and coming golfer comes out. I don't have any affiliation. I don't have any allegiance to anybody.
Right.
I want to play golf and I want to make money and I want to make money. I want to do it professionally and I want to, you know, have competition. And you'll be like, okay, so you can go here or you can go here. Like, well, I'll go over here.
Well, but again, that's a decision that those people need to make. But let's not downplay why people were choosing not to go to live.
Yeah.
Why people were choosing not to get in bed with the Saudi government and that sovereign wealth money, because of their human rights abuses, because of the issues around Jamal Khashoggi, all that stuff. And so, yes, I mean, you have to decide, well, which path do I want to be on?
At some point, right, your hypocrisy has to have some boundaries.
That's right.
That's right. And there has to be some ceiling. Yeah.
And if you're that up and coming golfer, and you say, look, guys, I just care about making money.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not. It's not my role to get into that aspect of this discussion. I'm just letting you know that as a professional athlete, I have a window for how long my talents are at their peak.
Yep.
And my goal is to maximize and monetize my success and my talents. And this is what I want to do. Yep. I'd have more respect for that conversation rather than brushing all the other stuff under the rug and saying, well, you know, whatever. It's
and sugarcoat it, right?
Yeah. Just say what you say. Say what you say. That's fine. Have something, you know, address it.
Yeah.
But
they're
it does
shameless.
not happen.
Yeah, it
they're
smells.
shameless.
Yeah, it smells. And all for just at the end of the day, because it's all about money.
Well, but let's also remember, it's not a case of like, okay, I'm going to play on the PGA and I'm going to make $38,500 a year, or I can go play at Live and I can make $130,000 or whatever the number is, right? I mean, we're talking about, do I make $10 million or $15 million?
Yeah.
Do I make $30 million or do I make $40 million?
Yeah,
like, okay, I got it. This is rich people fighting over ridiculous piles of money, right? Millionaires fighting over billionaires, billionaires fighting over millionaires. Right. I mean, it's all that crazy stuff, right? It's like, come on. I mean,
yeah, and it comes back to it, and it's this weird, skewed sense of kind of obligation or reality or what I deserve, right? And you think about it in terms of like, you know, in terms of like other professional sports, like, you know, like baseball players or basketball players or football players, right? And these guys are like, well, yeah, I'm not signing that. You know, this team is offering me $20 million a year for 4 years. But, you know, my going rate, you know, and you know, I know that the you know, the owners of the team, I know that, you know, the team makes has the money to pay me.
Sure.
I should be paid more money because of that's kind of the going rate. But then, you know, us as the kind of lay people, when you step back, like, okay, so you're going to the mat, you're going to leave us to go, you know, instead of making $20 million for 4 years, you're going to make, you know, $21 million for 5 years. And you're like, wow, is that $7 million going to make that much of a difference?
Yeah, the delta isn't at that stage of the game. The $7 million, you probably make it up in interest, right? Over a window of time, right? Over the course of your earnings, over the course of your consulting deals or your sponsorships and all that stuff. Like,
exactly.
You know, that's the story. Like Gronk, you know, I never spent a dime of my paycheck. I spent all my sponsorship money, or vice versa, whatever it was. Like, you know, come on, guys. When that much money's raining out of the heavens, I mean, come on, let's kind of
Yeah,
put some.
and then but then the other side of it is like, well, their argument is like, well, no, the team, the league, like NFL makes
Right.
billions and billions of dollars.
They're doing the same. Why should I do something different?
Yeah, and the NFL, so that executive in the NFL, he doesn't do what people don't turn on the TV to watch him.
Right.
They turn on the TV to watch me.
Right.
They turn on and I'm the one who has to do all the. I'm the one who has the gift, right? I'm the one who has
put people in the seats.
Yep, I'm the one who has the gift. I'm the one who works, who has worked to get to this point, and be a competitive professional athlete. Which
Sure.
I mean, that's nothing to shake a stick at, right?
No,
I mean, it's not like and
only some people can do that.
well, that's just it, right?
Yeah.
There's only so many people that are pros that are and you think about like kind of growing up and all the great athletes that you've known all these years, like, and there's a difference. Like there's a reason that 99 point fill in the blank of those people don't become professional athletes in whatever sport they aspire to be in. Is because they're not good enough.
Yeah.
Because there is that creme de la creme de la creme, and then there's the pros who are all great, and then there's the guys who are better than who stand out amongst them.
Who are the best of the
exactly.
pros.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you have like your LeBron Jameses of the world that dominate for 20 years,
Right.
and do what they and are better than the greatest athlete that you or I have ever seen.
Yeah.
So then the justification or the argument is well, yeah, that guy needs to get paid.
Right.
That guy, he deserves to get paid because he or she has kind of brought the sport to where it is now.
Hey, maybe that's the analysis, right? Maybe the analysis to say, look, there's the greats of the great, and they're on. Not that the rules are different, but they're on a different plateau for a whole host of reasons, right? And then there's everybody else. Right?
Yeah.
And there's everybody else, and those guys are like, all right, well, if Liv's going to pay me that much more money than I ever would get paid as a mid-level PGA pro, then Liv's the way for me to go. Again, I'm not knocking that decision. I'm just saying make the decision and own the decision
and own it, right?
And if you get judged for making it, well, that's what goes to the territory. Stand up and say, hey, that's my decision.
And that goes kind of with the same kind of argument the performance enhancing drug guys, right? So all those guys, they're like, look, I'm a really, really good baseball player, but when I get to the major league level, I'm not going to be able to hit 30 home runs off major league major league. I will hit fly balls. I'll hit fly balls instead of home runs because I'm just not strong. My bat I can't swing my bat fast enough in order to do. I can hit it because I have talent, right? I can hit the ball, but I just can't hit it that far. Now, if I if I go on steroids and I gain 30 pounds of muscle, and I double my strength and my bat speed. Oh, look, that fly ball that I was. And so the argument is like, if
now I'm crushing home runs.
Well, now I'm that level player. But then, when it comes time to like when everything kind of gets all the the kimonos get opened up and everybody says, oh yeah, these guys were all taking own it, and some guys did. Some guys said, yeah, that's the only way I was going to be able to do that, right? The only way that Sammy Sosa is going to be able to break the single season home run record is because I can't do it. The only way Barry Bonds is going to became Barry Bonds.
Well, and the conversation is also at the time the league's doing nothing about it. So if the league's doing nothing about it and everybody's doing it, then that's the level playing field.
Yeah.
If the league wants to step in and say nobody does it, that's a different animal. Right now we're all back to my bat speed's the same as your bat speed. It doesn't really matter. That's fine. We can dial it back a little bit, and that's what happens. Or it's so there needs to be kind of regulated to a certain
And then
extent.
there's the guys who are like the unicorns. And there might be one right in this room, right? There might be the guy who's just like, he's saying, let me tee up with pick whoever fill in the pro in a pro-am tournament and
hold my own.
And before you know it, right? Before you know it, I'm putting for birdie on 17 to take the lead over everybody, and that guy might be.
That guy's carrying.
He might be right behind that camera right now.
He could be.
He could be.
Yeah. He could be.
He's carrying a bag one day, and the next day
he's blushing like it's nobody's business right now. Right?
He's putting for birdie.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm going to hit this 8-foot putt? I bet you I do.
Yeah, hold on, one eye open. Hold on, one eye open.
I bet you I do. What am I? Am I
the old no.
Am I 6 under right now? Is that? Let me just check my scorecard. Yeah, that's 6 under.
Feels like I'm 6 under.
Tom Hartman's 6 under, right?
I feel like I'm having a good day. I
birdied the last 3. Yeah.
Feeling okay.
Yeah, I'm feeling okay. That's Tom Hartman. That's our guy,
That's
right?
right.
All right.
That's our man.
So, What are we doing? Like free fall? Is this a free form, right?
No, we're just rad. Now we can go to commercial. We'll come back and we'll actually talk about some money in the law.
We'll talk about money and law.
Money
I
and
actually
law
have a law question for you when we come back.
Excellent. I got lots of law answers. I'm not sure they're right, but I got them.
We'll tease that. All right. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Money in the Law, my FM 101.3. Holliston Hub, HCAT, Jay Mars and John Drohan. Stick around. You're going to learn. It's Saturday and it's summer. So yeah,
love it.
Dig in.
And we're back. Money in the Law, my FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. My co-host John Drohan, Tom on the bag, and we are having a fantastic.
We're having a fun day.
Fantastical Saturday. It's Wednesday. We're doing this on Wednesday, but we're having a great time on Saturday. I'm sure somewhere.
So I have to give a shout out.
Please do.
I have a shout out. Yesterday in my office, I could make an argument, are the #1 greatest fan in the history of Money in the Law.
My in-laws.
Actually, #1 greatest fan who actually then became a client from Money in the Law, because I don't remember your in-laws calling me to say, listen, we need to move some money over. Jay does. We love him.
Great guy. Super guy.
Super guy. We love him. We trust him. We trust him with our lives. But
that's right.
With our daughter.
Yeah.
So in my office yesterday, the one and only Lisa Thorin, and remember Lisa Thorin.
I do.
The first words out of Lisa's mouth when she came for her annual review. Lisa Thorin, of course, used to listen to us in her truck every Saturday morning.
Of course she did.
And said this, and God bless her. She's like, and she said this to me with the most serious face. She goes, why wouldn't everybody just like sit and listen and learn about that stuff?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't they?
I'm like, Lisa, I'm like, literally like tears are welling up in your eyes. Like, I had a lump in my throat. I'm like, that is the kindest thing you've ever said. So actually, it's going to be the second kindest thing that she's ever said, because you know what she said to me as soon as she came in? She goes, my lawyer's retiring. I need a new lawyer. And I said,
now tears are welling up in my eyes.
And I honestly, it was the middle of the day, so I wasn't going to kind of jump on yours. I'm like, I had my phone. I'm like, I'm going to text him. I go, you know what? We need to run over there right now. So I said, you know what? Next time we'll set this meeting up right, so he knows.
Absolutely, yes.
So he's ready. Yeah.
Yes.
So you'll get to meet her. She's fantastic.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it.
And truly like a true Money in the Law. And saying, look, and I go, but I thought you did your whole stuff. She goes, I did, but I just need to have somebody. Yeah. I need to have somebody so I can talk to, so I can look over it. I have some other things that I need to do. And I said, I got a couple guys that I know that I've worked with in the past. No one you've known. And she's like, well, what? And I was like, no, of course.
Well, you know what's funny?
Your lawyer is.
So before we dive into what we were going to talk about today, we've talked about this on the show before, which is the foresight that somebody like her has to say, look, I had somebody, and rather than wait until the building is on fire to call somebody else, why don't I line up the relationship?
Figure it out.
Why don't I line up the relationship now? And I say that because that has happened to us quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. We've had a handful of clients, and it kind of comes in waves, but we've had a bunch of folks who have come in the office and they've said, we need to do something and get our plan kind of looked at, because either our previous attorney retired and we just need to find you or find somebody, right? Hopefully, obviously us, but we need to find somebody. So we're kind of interviewing attorneys. Nothing's on fire. We don't need to do anything. We just wanted to be able to make a connection. But other people have come in and said, we can't find our attorney.
Yeah.
We thought we had somebody.
Yeah.
They retired. We don't know where they went. We don't know where they're hanging out.
And there hasn't been any contact or connection with them.
Hasn't been any contact. And
the
people that they did, like, because again, most lawyers will hang on to that phone number, right? Because they're like, I want to at least keep the calls coming. I want my clients to be able to get a hold of me. Even the people that are answering the phone have said, like, yeah, I mean, we know he's around somewhere, but we haven't been in contact with him. So I don't know what the handoff was from a professional practice perspective. Like, okay, here's all the people. If they call, say nice things about me. So it does happen. So kudos to her for recognizing it and getting in front of it.
And that's the other thing is, like, I love the fact that, like, when you have a lawyer, right? You got a lawyer, right? And your lawyer, whatever law question or something, you have somebody who has an unbiased opinion, who has expertise. Maybe doesn't have expertise in a particular kind of law that you're looking for, but you know what? They went to law school, and they'll be like, hey, that's not. They recognize that's not my area of expertise. But guess what? You call this person, you call this woman, call this guy. And they are experts in that, and that's and having that phone number, having that email address, having that relationship, it's because again, at the end of the day, all we want to do is trying to make people happy.
Well, you beat me to it. I was going to say, we love talking to our clients.
Yeah.
I love it when somebody calls up and says, hey, I got a question for you. This is what's, because you know what? Because we get to talk about what we love, right? Which is financial planning and law stuff,
yeah.
right? So those are the things we love
and
talking about, and
yeah.
music. But those are the things, so when you love talking about those, right? And somebody says, hey, you got a minute? I got a couple of questions for you. The answer is, do I have a minute? Like, hold on. Let me take my
Step
jacket.
aside.
I got all
Yeah.
the time in the world. Let's get these
Can I
questions
get a refill
answered,
on this?
you
What
know?
is this? Yeah.
Because don't forget, when we're talking to you as a client, we get to expound on our favorite subjects, which is us.
Which is
us.
pretty
we
much
love talking about our
ourselves, yeah.
favorite stuff. Us.
So let me tell you a little about this is my experience and what I've had happen
Exactly.
in the
It's
past.
a huge ego boost,
It
right? So
really
you
is.
love talking to your clients. Of course I do. What problem can I solve for
Yeah.
you today, right? Just so you said,
Yeah.
we love helping clients.
That's it.
What problem can we solve for you today? Nothing makes you feel more accomplished than helping somebody out of a jam, right? What's going on? And even more importantly, if there's no jam to be helped out of, all kidding aside, putting somebody at ease to say, you're in a good spot, don't worry
Yeah,
about it. Right?
and how many times do you do that? How many times do you do that in a day or in a week, right? Where you're like, listen, people are like, oh, I'm really nervous about this. I'm nervous about the debts. I'm like, okay, look, here's, and you frame it up for me. Say, look, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, the market falls by 50% tomorrow, we're not going to be happy.
Right.
No one's going to be happy. But you know what? It doesn't change your retirement plan.
That's right.
It doesn't change because you have the way you're invested, you're kind of built to have if like a fail safe if something goes
You're built
wrong.
to withstand this.
Yep, you're built to weather this.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
And-
And on the law side, we said, look, if you have a problem, we'll show you the pathway to get out of the problem, right? And think about it in your own life, right? You get a problem, something's wrong, something's, pick anything, right?
Yeah.
And something goes wrong, something, winter time, right? Your furnace kicks off because it's not working, right?
Yeah.
Something as simple as that, and you say to yourself, well, the furnace is broken. Hold on, the house is 42 degrees, right? Everyone's chattering, right?
Yeah.
We might not make it tonight, right? We're gonna start breaking up the furniture and putting it in the fireplace, right? And then you make a phone call. You call whoever your HVAC people are, and they say to you, yeah, hang on one second, we'll send somebody over, right? Right away,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, there's a plan. There's a plan, right? Someone's gonna come here. They're gonna look at this thing, and by the way,
Granddad's his old Victrola. We don't have to cook that thing tonight.
I consider myself relatively handy, but I also know when I'm getting out of my own line. Getting out of the lines here.
Yeah, as soon as you're cutting gas pipes. Yeah.
Yeah. Once I start Googling retrofitting my gas system, that's when you start to like, okay.
And so, what could go wrong?
But then when somebody comes in and says, hold on, here's the solution, you're like, oh my God, all the concern, all the worry goes away, right?
Yep.
So that's what you're doing. When you engage the relationship with these people, it's peace of mind is what you're buying. You have a phone call, you have a problem, you pick up the phone, you get an answer to your problem, right? And everybody's good, right? So the problem that we've been solving most recently related to graduation season is a reminder to all of our clients that all of these little angels that are going to be heading off to school in the fall
you can't get their medical records.
Adults. That's exactly right. They're now adults.
They don't have to tell you anything.
No,
They don't.
they do not. They do not. And I don't know if you've noticed this, like when you go onto the website for the schools to do tuition and all that stuff, your children have to kind of like give you the green light to be able to do all that.
It goes
stuff,
to
right?
their email, right? Or their phone is the one who gets it. That's your dual authentication. It's not
Yes,
yours.
That's right. That's right. So what we have been talking about with people lately is the idea of getting, while the kids are home, because it's going to be over before you know it, getting all of their documentation together and in place. 3 things we always want. Every 18-year-old, soon-to-be college freshman, maybe not, but just everybody 18-year-old, we want them to have a healthcare proxy, a power of attorney, and a HIPAA authorization form. So that you, as mom and dad, can make their decisions for them.
Yeah, and you can also find out what's going on with them when they're sick at school, and and they're it's September or October. They're everything's new to them. For those of you who've seen this, everything's new to them.
Sure.
And yeah, they're smart. They're grown-ups. They know everything, but they don't. Right? No. They don't know. Right. They don't know everything. And especially when it comes time to like kind of real-world problems, especially if somebody's sick or there's some issue. mom and dad, it's no different than last year. It's no different when they were 17. It's no different when they were 7. You guys are there to take care of them and make sure that, to help them solve that problem.
Oh, and you want to know what's going on.
And you got to be able to get the information to do that. And if for whatever reason you can't get there, it's limited. This is the way to do it. You have to have these documents in place.
So, and then here's my concern. My concern is that my preference for how I would want people to do this is to do it through their attorney. Okay, because the attorney is probably working with a very rigorous, broadly approving, if you will, set of documents, right? And what we have discovered is that there's a lot of places that are trying to kind of do this on their own, if you will.
You're talking about the institute,
the institutions themselves, or some other places that are trying to kind of get in that business. They want to turn it into sort of like a mill.
Yeah, get you ready for college.
Yeah, just to kind of bang out these documents. And I think you should get them done. And if we got asked to do 100 of them, we would do 100 of them. I think that's the right thing to do. But what we see is if they're not great, and this is going to sound a little weird, if they're not great documents, in a lot of cases they create more problems than they solve.
Ask yourself this question, right? Ask yourself the question of, okay, so why am I doing this, right? Why do I have car insurance? Why do I have health insurance? Why do I have this healthcare proxy or a HIP authorization or a durable power of attorney? Do I have that because I plan on using this like all the time? Do I plan on using my car insurance? Do I plan on making car claims all the time? No.
Right.
So think about it. If I need a healthcare proxy for my child who is at college, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
That's an event. That's let's drop whatever else was important. This has now become the most important thing. So if for whatever reason the school or somebody balks at the document and says, oh, wait a minute, blah, 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 who do you want to call? Who do you want to have to say, hey, listen, excuse me, hold on, my lawyer, my attorney is right here.
Yeah.
Talk to him and he'll square this away.
Well, more importantly, you get to say, hold on, let me have my attorney get on the phone because they drafted the document.
Exactly.
It's their document.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So I would much rather be defending my documents and be able to say to some school administrator or somebody in a health services situation, look, I've used this document a million times. I've never had a problem with it. Here's whatever interpretation you're struggling with. I can tell you right now, you're not thinking about it the right way. Here's why you're not thinking about it the right way. That's a lot better for me to be able to advocate for my client than for me to have to take somebody else's terrible document that they got and look at that and say, they could be right.
Yeah.
There's a window here that it's on. I don't love the language. I don't love the way it's written. I can see where it's open to interpretation, and that creates a problem.
But that's just it. You're doing this in the unlikely event you're going to need it.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I hope I don't use this.
Right.
And most people won't. Most people won't need that.
You will not.
In the entire 4 years at college or whatever. However, when you do need it, if you do, and when you do, it's got to be right.
Well, you want it to be as bulletproof as possible.
Exactly.
Yep, that's exactly what you're looking for. So, 'tis the season. I'm not saying that we do this at the actual graduation party. I mean, look at if somebody wants to invite me to a graduation party, it's actually a very tasteful table setup. It's kind of out of the way. We don't like to be in the middle of the event. We like to be kind of off to the right, maybe to the right or the left of the bar,
cards
depending
on
on where that is.
Right? And you know what? You're not filling out any documents there. We're just getting your email address.
Well, that depends on what you want. I mean, there's a lot of witnesses hanging around. Some would argue that this could be the most efficient time to do something.
I go to all my parties with Lauren. Hey, Lauren, how are you? Yeah. Lauren just has her laptop. She's gonna just.
Hey, can I get the Wi-Fi password? We're gonna just jump on here and bang out some documents. And you kids, congratulations, kids. Welcome to adulthood. Now let's make sure if something horrific happens, who would you want to jump in?
There's a Marriott marquee over there with a printer in the back. That's all the docs will be right there.
That's right. That's right. Yep, that's right. Shirley Temple's on me. Who's in?
That's right. Shirley Temple. You're not in college yet, kids.
That's right. Yeah. So food for thought. Food for thought. This is the time. If it doesn't happen right now, obviously, as you make your way through the summer, for those of you who are paying attention, put this on your to-do list. You hope to John's point, hopefully it sits in the envelope and collects dust. But if something ever happened and you need to pull it out, you want to have something that works. You want to have something good. And I think you want to have something drafted by an attorney. I don't think you want these online, pull these things off and do it, because if something ever happens and things get dicey, you want somebody to be in your corner and be able to say, look, I'm comfortable in what we put together, and it gives us the ability to do everything we need to do.
And you want it in place.
Get out of
and
the
that's
way.
the other thing. You want it in place because it's going to be, on a Saturday night when something happens, right? Or like somebody gets sick, right?
Anything. Yeah, somebody gets sick, yeah.
And you're gonna and if there's a time delay, it's gonna that's gonna be a long time. If you have to wait until Monday.
Look, this isn't even tragedy type stuff. We know people who the kids go overseas, right?
Yeah.
What happens? They get sick overseas, right? And now you're gonna fight an international situation in terms of how do I even begin to have these conversations? Never mind something happening here in the States. And again, we're not talking tragedy. We're just talking kids getting sick.
Yeah,
and
kids that need help.
And what do moms and dads want to do? They want to help out. That's what they do, right? So, but when somebody pushes back, and by the way, you're already amped up, right? You're already amped up because your kid's sick, right?
Yeah.
And then when somebody says to you, I'm not talking to you, as a parent, right? Nothing sets you off even more. Yeah. So now you take a somewhat volatile situation. Now you're screaming and yelling on the phone at somebody, and they're not talking to you because you've completely lost control of your senses. It does not make the situation better. Trust me, it doesn't make it better. And I hate to say this, we've said this before, even just the suggestion that maybe we should get some lawyers together to talk sometimes gets somebody to put themselves in a position where they say, hang on one second, let me just put you on hold.
Yeah.
And then you wait.
Exactly.
And then they go have a cup of coffee.
Because they don't want to deal with it.
And then they come back and they go, you know what, actually, you're right, this is fine, we're good with this. Again, I'm not saying that there's anything untoward going on, but sometimes just the idea of, these people really have their homework done, they know what they're talking about.
Right.
We're not fooling around, it's not worth it, this is fine, let's let them accomplish what they want to accomplish. That's the objective.
Okay, let's take a quick break. Let's take a quick break, and then I like I said, I still have that law question that I want to ask.
Hanging on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, all right. So you're gonna have to wait just a couple minutes before I ask you that question.
All right.
Don't go anywhere. Money in the Law. We'll be right back. My FM 101.3, Holliston Cable Access, Holliston Hub. That's it. It's a new show. The Hub. The Hub is happening.
That's what we do.
The Hub. Yeah, the Hub. The
All right.
HU-double-B.
All right.
Actually, why didn't we do HU-double-B?
Rip HCAT.
Right?
Rip HCAT.
No, HCAT's kind of still in the end of it. It's still there. It's the Holliston Hub HCAT.
Okay.
We couldn't. HCAT didn't totally. No, it can't totally go away.
Right.
But you know what? And of course, the theory behind it before we go is cable access television. Right? We're kind of like cable access TV, cable TV. It's kind of like a little antiquated, right?
What are the kids listening to these days?
Little antiquated. It's evolution. It's the evolution of like full service, like multimedia. All right.
Love it.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
And we're back. My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. John Drohan, Manafort Financial.
It's here.
Tom on the bag. He brought the guitar. Great. Fantastic. Next time. Next time. I told you, when the lounge is together, when Ray's Room. Hashtag Ray's Room.
We did. We did. So Phoebe and I, my daughter, who's my kind of my musical. She's like my mentor.
Sure.
She did struggle through Cruel to Be Kind with me the other day. Like I made her get her acoustic guitar, and it was bad. But we got from end to end on it. It's not that hard. I mean, it won't be hard for you.
No. It's just a question of it's putting the time in. That's it.
It's just
break it into small
muscle
pieces.
memory
small
and
pieces.
learning it.
Yeah, small pieces. That's it.
And like I said, I do know that I singing. I think I got it.
That's one of that's your strength.
But the other guy, I want to get Ray in on too.
Yeah. Well, he's
Ray
fine.
and a tambourine.
He's probably home practicing right now.
He might.
He
left early.
He left early.
Yeah. He might be doing it. Okay.
He's home. He's got a hot towel around.
So when we get what is it? What is this? Ray's Room.
Ray's Room.
Ray's Room. Hashtag Ray's Room.
He might have a different plan for it. I'm just going to work that in there as one of the.
Or maybe we have a piece of Ray's Room.
Yeah, that's right.
This is Jay's room.
Ray's Room and Jay's Room. Yep. All right. So what we're talking, you have a legal question hanging out there.
I do.
Legal softball question.
I just want you to clarify with me. I want to talk about a revocable trust. Okay? Yeah, I know. All right. So can you just clarify kind of the basic blocking and tackling of married couple have children. They want to avoid probate.
Yep.
They want to be able to kind of have some control of their assets kind of post mortem, like where if for in the unlikely event something happens to both of them, that they want to be able to kind of control the assets as far as the distribution of their assets, if they had assets to their heirs,
Sure.
to their children, particularly if their children are minors. So what is what, and you kind of see a couple different things. You have like a joint revocable trust, and then you have kind of an individual where each person has a revocable trust. What's the best answer for that?
The best answer as to what those things do for you?
No. The best answer is which one do I have? Can I have a joint trust?
Or individual trust?
Or do I have? Does the mother have an individual trust and the father have an individual trust? What's the right answer? Because I've seen both.
Yeah.
And I they both the goal is to accomplish essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
But
So the lawyer answer is it depends. Okay. The joint trust arrangement is usually what you see when two things happen. Number one, there's no risk, there's no issue, there's no challenges around whether or not we're going to find ourselves in a situation where the estate tax comes into play, right?
You're talking about the federal estate tax.
The mass,
Or
for the most part,
estate
mass. The
tax,
Fed's so high. Mostly the mass estate tax, right?
Sure.
So what people will do is I say, look, we own our assets jointly. The assets the assets consist of a house. A couple $100,000 in the bank. Maybe there's no retirement money. We have pensions.
You're the guy who's got a couple $100,000 in the bank all the time, right? You're like,
Yeah.
I mean, he throws it. There's people out there that have a couple $100,000 in the bank.
I'm just making it up.
But then there's you. I mean, you say it like you got. Yeah, I got a couple. It's like I got a couple of $5 bills in my wallet.
I'm just saying, like when folks come in and they're worried about probate and they're worried about estate taxes and things like that. They're usually, in their later years, in their, late 50s, not late years, in their late 50s, early 60s, they've got some time to accumulate some stuff. That's the idea, right? Houses may be paid off, they've got some savings. They may have inherited some money, so they got some money, but it doesn't necessarily blow through that right now $1 million threshold at the state. So they say, look, it's a joint plan for us. We want, at the passing of either one of us, the survivor of the two of us to continue to have control over all the assets. And then when the second of us passes away and we're not worried about estate taxes, we want it to go to the kids.
Okay.
And that's the blueprint. So you'd say to somebody, okay, you've got your IRAs, you get your 401ks, you get maybe life insurance. That all has named beneficiary stuff. That's all going to go outside the probate process. Then you've got real estate, you got a house, you got some savings, you got some investments. Those all live in your joint trust because those are assets that you would hold jointly.
Right.
And you're not worried about the estate tax issue.
All right.
That's why you'd have a joint trust.
Okay.
You're going to sound like you would say something else.
No, I was just saying.
Right.
So we're just to be clear, we're talking about the Massachusetts estate tax where the exemption level is $1 million.
Right. Maybe going to 2, but $1 million. Yep.
Right. So one possibly going to 2, but so anything kind of under, $1 million and under.
Yeah.
Then a joint trust works for that.
Yeah, and you're not, and even if it's over $1 million, you just don't care about the tax. The taxes are not driving
it's
the
not,
bus.
and it's not going to be the significant. Now, if you have $10 million, that's a different animal.
Maybe
right?
a different animal. That's right. That's right. But if you're saying, look, even if we have 2 pieces of property and we have some investments, but we just don't care because we're young and we still have a lot of spending to do, and so we're not perseverating on the estate tax. This is really about estate administration.
Yeah.
That's all this is about, and avoiding probate.
Yeah.
And so when we line up the assets, you get the retirement money with the named beneficiaries. You have a joint trust that holds all of the joint assets, investments, real estate, whatever they have, and then you get some bank accounts.
Yeah, and in today's day and age, most people are going to exceed that $1 million threshold. So you're going to pay some sort of Massachusetts death tax. It's going to be
right. Yeah. And what we have found, and I've said this in the show before, what we have found is the bulk of our clients have said, look, Jay, I want to err on the side of simplicity. I don't want to make things more complicated. Right. And then they say to me, but if I did want to make things more complicated, Jay, what does more complicated look like? And more complicated looks like what you mentioned as the alternative to this, where basically you have 2 people who have, to keep it simple, you have 2 basically parallel estate plans, right? So you have the husband's trust and the wife's trust, and they have their own individual trust. And then their individual trusts break their assets into 2 more trusts. So at the death of the husband, money goes into a family trust and money goes into a marital trust. And at the death of the wife, Money goes into a family trust and money goes into a marital trust. And the idea behind that strategy is people want to make sure that I pass on that $1 million Massachusetts estate tax limit. I want that to be treated separately. I want that to be on its own path, because all the money I leave my wife is not subject to that threshold. So you want to make sure that you preserve your $1 million estate tax exemption in Massachusetts. And so what people will do is they'll say, we're going to do 2 separate trusts, and then we're going to hold our assets differently.
Yep.
That's the 2-trust strategy. It's a little more complicated, a little more moving parts to it. We see a lot of them that come in when they were drafted, when the estate taxes, both at the federal and the state level, most of the federal level, were very, very different 20 years ago
than they were now,
and now that they are now. So then we have a real kind of a conversation around, do we care about that anymore? Where are we at? You know, where the Fed issue has become kind of a non-event, the state issue has become kind of a secondary. You know, people are not all that worried about it.
And we're not talking. It's not a humongous tax on that $1 million on the
terrible.
estate. Yeah, it's not.
Terrible. But it does make. But it does make things more complicated. Now remember, when we do that joint trust plan for people, that plan sometimes has people's eyes rolling back in their head. So when we come in,
wait a minute, why does my bank account have why does it have to be a different name now?
That's right. That's right. Why do I own half my house in my name or my name of my trust? Why does the other half of the house get owned in the name of my husband?
Yeah.
So
why do I have to put and I've seen this why do I have to put my IRA, my retirement account, into the trust, right? And that would be the whole reason behind it, is because I'm going to try and segregate some of that money to ensure that mass exemption.
Well, you wouldn't put the IRA in. You might say, look, I'm going to change who the beneficiaries are on that IRA so that it doesn't always come back to me. Like what we've said to clients before, like, does your wife need to hire, or does your husband or wife need to inherit all $2 million of your IRA?
Yeah.
Probably not. Not at this stage of the game, right? Between Social Security and their spending habits, they don't need $2 million.
Right.
Maybe you can carve half of that out and have that go to the kids now. And then that money potentially falls on, but again, that $2 million IRA is part of the person's passed away's estate, and it
Part
gets
of their
a little
estate?
bit, yeah, there's some liquidity
So we've
issues
seen
in there.
that though. I've seen IRAs inside of trusts. Yeah.
Really?
Name benefit. Oh yeah. Yeah.
like
And
to
said,
see that.
we should put the IRA and
Trust name is the beneficiary of the IRA.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a different animal.
Yeah,
That's a different animal. That's a different animal. Yeah. Yeah. We've seen that before. We've done that for people where there's a control issue.
Yeah.
People say, look, we'll tell
Right.
people all the time, I would much prefer that somebody inherit an IRA as an IRA. But we've also had situations where somebody says, look, my IRA is pretty sizable, and I don't want my children, or I don't want my whoever, to inherit the IRA outright, because once they get it, game over.
Yeah.
Game over. So that's the answer. You wash it through a trust so that doesn't happen.
So
and they're not dealing
again,
with
for
that.
the whole reasons why you have a trust in the first place is so you can kind of maintain control of your assets, avoid your probate, and be able to kind of administer your estate the way you had intended to do that.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, you've explained it on the show before a million times. The trust is a box, right? That's all it is. So if you have IRAs and 401ks, those we know where they're going, right? Everybody, we've talked about this in the show before. Everybody understands my IRA has a beneficiary. This is where it goes, right? It
can have 30 beneficiaries.
That's right. It's a one-way street. If I'm not around, it gets broken up into this
Which
many
way does it
pieces,
go?
right?
Any way I want.
Any way I want. That's right. That's all it does. It just goes, that's it. So the trust concept gets a little bit clunky, but it's not that clunky. You say to yourself, look, if we have the Marsden Family Trust, and then we start putting stuff in it, all that means is that if I'm not around, just like the IRA, it just goes to the named beneficiary. Mm-hmm. Now, the difference is somebody has to do that, mm-hmm. right? And you get to assign the person who gets that job. But that's all it is.
That's it.
And so when we and by the way, as we're talking about this, we always talk about, which is also a phenomenal consolidation opportunity, okay? You don't need 15 brokerage accounts at 28 different brokerage firms, right? Or if you have those accounts at ComputerShare, right? Because you had Manulife stock or John Hancock stock, telephone stock. Every time we see somebody that comes
always
in with
a
a
telephone.
Verizon thing,
It's
it's always a
telephone
story.
stock, yeah.
I know. I get it.
AT&T,
I get
Ma
it.
Bell,
Yep.
Ma Bell, Baby Bell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your great grandmother bought these. I know the story. I've heard it a million times.
How many?
I get it. I get it.
Everybody has a relative that worked for the phone company.
Of course
right?
they do.
Yeah. Uncle Charlie. Oh, he worked for the phone company.
He's a lineman. I know. Yeah. I got
Yeah,
it.
his number was 96.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I get it. I understand it. But like this is a collect and consolidate. This is spring cleaning, right? You're doing it at your house. You're emptying your closet. Let's organize this. Let's Marie Kondo this thing and like put it all in one spot, and then say, okay, and it all lives in your trust. And then you don't have to. And for the most part, then you don't have to worry about anything after that, right? Because if something happens to you and you become sick or you become incapacitated, your trustees are going to move up and they can do whatever they need to do with your stuff.
Because they're in charge of it, right?
They're in charge of it.
They're in
That's right.
charge of it, and they don't need a durable power of attorney to do that,
No.
right? They don't need like those kind of almost we call them emergency documents in order to do it, because they're the trustee of the trust, and the instructions of the trust are very clear. If Jay Marsden is my trustee, the trustee is in charge of doing this. This is what the trust and it's simple, because the trustee looks at the trust and says, this is what it's telling me to do. It's a no-brainer, right?
Yep, I got to sell the house because I got to take care of my mother and my father. They can't manage their affairs anymore at the house anymore. We're going to an assisted living facility. All right, great. What are you doing? Well, I got to hire a broker. All right, well, hire a broker.
Yeah.
Well, but the house is in a trust, and you're the trustee. Yeah. All right.
Watch
hire
this.
a broker. Guess what? They can give you a check.
Yeah.
So you can make payable to the trust. If you don't have a bank account in the name of the trust, which you should not necessarily have, but you should have an investment account in the name of the trust. Let's put some money in there. And then what are you going to do?
Easy to do.
I'm going to move some money around. Great. Who did I take direction from? Well, you're the trustee, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Great. What do you need to do? This is all about authority. This
Yeah.
is all about having the ability to just do stuff, right? I don't know what the do is. I tell people all the time, I never know what we have to fix here. These are tools in a toolbox. Somebody just needs to know how to use them, right? And if you don't know which end of a paintbrush to grab, hire somebody, right? And then they can come in and tell you, this is what you have to do. And it's much, much easier to wear your trustee hat and carry out those issues than it is trying to come in and convince every single person that you are the power of attorney, acting under a 15-year-old power of attorney that somebody downloaded off the web.
Dad told me this is what he wanted.
This is what I kind of remember. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, this is if you do nothing else, put all of your taxable assets into a revocable trust and just make this job easier for the people that have to do things for you while you're alive.
Yeah.
And then when you pass away, the minute you're gone, on the way home from the funeral home, hey, hold on 1 second, guys. Before we get in the car at the cemetery, I got to make a phone call. Yeah, I got to call a broker. I need to get the house listed. Okay, great. What are we waiting for? Nothing. Nothing. You can do it. And then that gives you time to do everything you got to do. Because the other alternative is, well, I got to get appointed as the executor to sell the house. Oh, great. That's no big deal.
That's going to happen. It's July, so this is going to happen really quickly.
How long do you think that's going to take? Well, we might get the house on the market in the fall, maybe, assuming everything goes
Best time
okay.
to sell a house. Fall.
You know, so I mean, it's just like this is about authority and the ability to do things. And again, the two trust plan, it's simpler. It's much more straightforward. It kind of
The
works.
one trust plan.
The one trust, the joint trust plan,
Joint
meaning
trust.
it's a joint trust. Two people make the trust. It's simpler because it kind of operates the way most people already operate their life.
Sure.
Right? Which is we're both on this together, and if something happens to us, we can do whatever we want to do. Very straightforward. We do a ton of them for people because it checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, and the other reason that I can think of why I may have separate trusts is if it's kind of like a combined family, right? And I have to kind of like differentiate some of the assets, and like so if I have a previous marriage, right, and I have children from a previous, and I want to make that, again, it's all about trying to make it clean and easy and understandable.
And it's funny, there are situations where we'll say to somebody, look, we could potentially squeeze all this language into one trust.
Yeah.
But you know what would be really easy?
Yeah.
Let's just put it in two separate trusts. We've done that, for example, with real estate.
Yeah.
Right? We want the real estate to be in a separate trust. We want it on its own separate path because that's what everybody wants. So, and you can, and I've said this before, you can have as many trusts as you want. There is no limit to the amount of trusts you can have. You can have a trust for your real estate. You can have a trust for your liquid assets. You can have a trust for each of your individual children, each of your individual grandchildren. You can have irrevocable trusts that hold vacation property. You can have any number of trusts that fit a certain situation, and all you're doing is you're putting all of those assets on their own separate path as to what would happen, and you get to decide at some point, potentially, all of those trust beneficiaries could come back together into
one person.
If there's certain things happen and you line up certain contingencies that are kind of out there as possibilities. But it's not unusual, and it's a lot easier. Sometimes it's easier to say to somebody, look, we could do this as one trust. It's easier to do it as two.
Yeah, and again, just for conceptual, so you can understand what it is, and more important, remember how important is it for like the client to be able to understand it, and then especially when you're dealing with estate planning, because after that client passes away, it's their estate, their heirs who are going to have to understand this, and so if I want the house to go to my daughter because she lives there,
sure,
and this is and we've made the decision. Everybody knows. We've said, hey, guess what? She's getting the house because this is where she lives, and we will like kind of make everybody whole with other assets, with other liquid assets or retirement assets. But the house is going to her, and so if again, all we're putting trust is just they're boxes that hold property. The house is going to that, and that makes it clean and easy, and that may be a good example for something like that.
And here's the other thing that it does that we've kind of glossed over a little bit. This whole transaction is a private transaction.
Ooh, yeah.
Nobody gets to
needs
find
to
out
know
what's under the hood,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
So if your house is in a trust,
it's kind of like Tom's handicap.
That's
you
right.
don't. No
Under
one.
the
No one.
covers
No
are-
one
You won't
knows
know
that.
until you experience it.
Well, no one knows it. I mean, and he even when he signed up for the tournament, they say, "What's your handicap?" He covers his hand. Those you can't see him. He covers his hand, writes it down. He writes down his 4 and hands it in and says, "Let's go. What time's our tea time?"
But that's the beauty.
Where am I hitting?
That's one of the
You're hitting
beauties
third,
of trust.
Tom. You always hit
Nobody
third.
knows what's going on. And the other answer, the other question we get all the time is, what happens if, like they always want to know something about what happens in the trust, what happens in the trust. So the answer to the question of what happens with the trust is always, what does the trust say?
Yeah.
The trust is the rule book, right? That's what's going to happen. If something happens, this is what the trust will kind of say, if you're not around, this is where things go. Do you get your money all at once? Do you get your money in pieces? How does this whole thing come together? That's what the trust will lay out. It will make it crystal clear for everybody involved. And by the way, everybody involved is whoever the beneficiaries and the trustees are, and that's it.
Yeah.
Nobody else gets to stick their nose in there. If they're not a beneficiary, they have no interest. So if you want a piece of property to go to a certain person, that's where it goes.
Yeah, and it's not like there's no like with probate where there has to be like an announcement that everybody who's like a person of interest.
Oh my God!
Oh,
will you post publicly the entire asset list of what people have?
Anybody whose last name is Marsden or sounds like Marsden or right?
Yeah.
Everybody.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So the whole half the city of Malden, or where are you from again?
Charlestown, Medford.
From Charles. I meant to say Charlestown. For some reason I was thinking Charlatan. I'm like, what kind of town is
Charlton? That's a different insult. It's a different insult.
All right. I think that's it. We're out of time.
We're there.
We're out of time. All right. Thanks for joining us today on Money in the Law, my FM 101.3, Holliston Hub, HCAT. Hope you learned something. Trusts are good. Trust. You know what they do?
Trust me.
Yeah. I mean, with all the trust in the world it's gonna enable you to be able to just simplify your life, make things happen the way you want it.
Yeah,
you want
absolutely.
Them to. And which all comes back to just having peace of mind, being able to sleep at night,
and knowing that's why they call them trust.
That's why it's making me sleepy right now.
All right, let's go warm and fuzzy.
We'll see everybody next week on Money in the Law. Have a great weekend, and make sure you drive safe, and don't do anything that he wouldn't do.
Rock on.